So now they whine a bunch about their situation, and this girl decides she wants a smoke. Oops. Oh no, my girlfriend's got frostbite. Man, things kinda sucked before, but that's the last straw.
I'm jumping. No, you're not. Yes, I am!
Once again with the obnoxious music.
Look at me. Look at me. You're gonna be okay, baby.
So right away, he's doing the exact opposite of what he should be doing. You don't think it would be a smart idea to leave your snowboard on? Don't you think that that might help disperse your weight across a larger surface area? You know, at least maybe it could help make sure you land properly. Why do you believe taking off your snowboard will help you? Why are you doing this? Ow. Can someone explain how he got so far away from the chairlift? You did fall down and you're not a flying squirrel, right?
Oh my god! Oh, my legs are broken! Oh my god!
Are you sure this is in fact not a comedy?
Hold on, baby! I
What are you doing?
gotta get down!
No, stop! You're gonna get hurt. Calm down.
Oh sure, you really meant that.
Hold on, baby! I gotta...
Here, use this to help stop the bleeding. Wait a minute, what are you doing? You realize you can like roll over and turn around, right? What you're doing right now not only seems just as painful, but it's definitely not working. It's almost as if his real legs are under the surface and that's just a cheap practical effect that they don't want to have to set up more than once.
This is something that actually was not in the script. It was like, you know, he reaches forward, he struggles, he gets it.
This is, to me, this is like so effective. This always, yeah.
Why does your bone look like a salami? Ew, gross. Yeah, you're probably not gonna stop too much blood flow when you're tying the handkerchief over top of your fucking snow pants. So now this guy's like, well, shit, I guess I better do something.
Maybe I can climb up to the cable and get to a chair that's closer to the ground.
By get to a chair that's closer to the ground, you actually mean get to one of these ladders, right? Because that seems a lot more reasonable.
How many more chairs are it gonna take before I get to one that's closer to the ground? The poles, they all have ladders on them, okay? The lift poles.
Oh, thank God somebody knew it. Mr. I want to ski and I want to do a challenging run has apparently never noticed this.
You gotta be careful, man. Those cables are razor sharp.
Those cables are razor sharp. Okay. All of a sudden, the characters hear something strange.
Hey, shut up, kid, shut up. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was a wolf.
This seriously seems like a comedy sketch.
I hear the sound of a fucking wolf. Scare people.
Alright, so he now decides that it is go time. At first he slips a little, but he decides that if he knocks off all the ice, it'll probably be safer. So we're treated to yet another comedy routine.
I always love how people laugh at this.
I know, because it gets hit by the...
It's nervous
It's like
laughter,
one
though.
more thing.
Some of the things that people would laugh at in theaters that are not funny, but it was just because they were, it was just intense, and so you
And you're
laugh
just
at
like,
stuff.
Doggo, no! It looks like he's done for, but then she throws a snowboard at it and it runs away.
I can't feel my legs anymore.
You can't feel your legs anymore? Well then why don't you try going down the fucking mountain? Are you just gonna sit there? Can you not use your arms? Does it not make sense to use your arms to crawl towards one of the snowboards and then use that snowboard to slide down the hill? You got options here, you're just not using them.
go like this.
Oh, it's like sunburn.
I don't know, I think it's frostbite.
What?
What? I totally thought it was a sunburn. Okay, hold the fuck up. If it's cold enough to get frostbite, not only would you be hiding your faces into your jackets like a fucking turtle, but there's no way in hell you'd be comfortably gripping your bare hand on this metal guardrail. You are clearly not in the cold if you can just nonchalantly grip it like that. Meanwhile, the director can't even do a single Q&A without gloating over how they actually filmed it in the cold. You are very clearly either lying or over-exaggerating.
Everything in Frozen is real. The story is real, the people are real, how he shot it is real. what everybody went through is real.
All right, so now he's actually gonna try and do something. And wow, what a surprise, he does it in the stupidest way possible. You don't think you should maybe climb up the chair you're on and then get both your arms and legs on top of the cable? You've got a jacket and snow pants, you could just hook yourself on with your knees and elbows and shimmy along. You don't think that would minimize the risk of falling? He makes it barely anywhere and then gives up pretty quickly. Oh shit, more wolves.
Don't you let her look! Don't you fucking let her look!
This is a fucking comedy.
Don't you let her look!
Wow, maybe you should have crawled to the snowboard and escaped before that happened. To be perfectly fair, you did have a delicious looking sausage coming out of your leg. I like how he doesn't even try to fight back in the slightest. They literally just added sound effects to him being kissed by doggos.
Don't you let her look!
This acting is atrocious.
Emma Bell was the very first person to audition for Frozen. Not the first person just for Parker, but period. The first day we said, okay, we're starting casting today. She walked through the door, she was the first one on the call sheet, and she got the part. She's just naturally a pretty girl, and how does that ever happen in real life? I remember her and Sean both came up to me saying like that felt really good. They were proud of the work that they had done, and it definitely shows in the movie.
I love how they couldn't just end the scene with her screaming. No, they just had to add that echo sound effect. Does that really add anything, or are you just doing that because it's a cliche? So now I guess some time has passed and they're just sitting there. Oh, come on, really? I guess that's why they mentioned the cable was razor sharp. Could it cut through your gloves if you were sliding down the cable at a decent speed? Sure. But you're not gonna get this result from just carrying your weight for 30 seconds. How does this make sense? Now this might seem like common sense to most people, but the director, Adam Green, is insisting that this is how the world works.
He was so cold. The cable was slicing through his gloves. We had to get special gloves made for him to do the other stunts.
Although there's likely some truth to what he's saying, what needs to be understood about this director is that he vastly over-exaggerates his claims.
Everything in Frozen is real. The story is real, the people are real, how he shot it is real, what everybody went through is real.
There was actually an episode of Mythbusters where they tried to test out something kind of similar. Basically, they were trying to see if you could use a pair of jeans to effortlessly slide down a ski lift cable and use it as a zip line. By the end of it, they determined that it was not feasible, but it wasn't because the cable was too sharp. It's because they were trying to slide down the cable and there was too much friction. At first, they were unable to slide at all, so they wound up using a bunch of oil, and after the oil was applied, they could slide more easily, but the combined weight and friction wound up ripping up the jeans.
Tori made it down, but how did the jeans cope with the friction from the cable?
Totally ripped right up the crotch.
Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, Adam, how do you know it was the weight and friction and not the cables being razor sharp like the director says they are? Well, for one thing, if the cable's as sharp as the director says they are, then this guy lubing it up would be losing his hand. I mean, look at how thin that cloth is. If the cables are razor sharp, then it would be torn to shreds. Not to mention, Tori can be seen gripping it with his bare fucking hands. But on one of the tests, the jeans wound up ripping at the legs. The only thing this Mythbusters episode proves is that jeans are not designed to be used in this way.
Using your clothing to escape a ski lift, bad idea. Either the clothing is gonna rip or your arms are gonna give out.
So zipline jeans escape. Busted.
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 Do I believe that your stuntman scratched up his gloves a little? Yes, especially with how he's moving them across the cable. Do I believe that the cable is as razor sharp as you are claiming it is? No. And just so we're clear on how dramatically over-exaggerated this director's claims are, there's another aspect to this film that I feel is worth mentioning. So now the movie needs to fill up even more time, so they start bickering over whose fault it is that someone got eaten by wolves. Now you might notice that in this particular scene, their breath is quite visible in the cold. world. And as a Canadian who's lived in Edmonton, Alberta for most of my life, I found myself wondering why this wasn't the case for most of the film. One of the promotional points that the director frequently brings up is that they were actually filming in extremely cold weather.
When word got out, when we were casting this, and I said I'm going to shoot the whole thing practically, and there were 4 companies that wanted to make this film. 3 of them refused to let me do that. But the performances, their skin, their breath, it wouldn't have been the same. Actually, Riley's scene when she shot it was, what temperature was it?
-7.
Yeah. And she got to be on the ground just looking pretty, like the rest of the film never was screwed.
Now, to anyone even remotely familiar with cold weather, the fact that you can't see their breath for the vast majority of the film gives the impression that it wasn't really that cold at all. I did some research and found out that breath is pretty much guaranteed to be visible anywhere under -5 degrees Celsius. When I was visiting my family for Christmas, I wound up filming visible breath in a variety of different settings and lighting conditions, all somewhere around -6 degrees Celsius. While I was in Vancouver, I was able to film my breath anywhere up to +4 degrees Celsius. Long story short, if you can't see your breath, then it's probably not all that cold. Like, sure, it was obviously cold for this scene, but a few short scenes in the movie isn't really enough to justify how much you're hamming it up in the promotional footage, is it? The absence of visible breath in this film alone is really not all that big of a deal. I mean, there's no real shame in not being able to control the weather. So what, it was unexpectedly warm during the time period that you shot this film, no big deal, right? Well, that's what you'd think, but Adam Green does not want to let this one go. Apparently, it's very important for him to be able to say that it was super, super cold the whole time.
One thing I want to point out, the breath. So, obviously, the whole movie was done practically. There's nothing on a soundstage. They're really up there. They're really freezing. So in some scenes, you can see their breath like dragons almost. And that's because this was early on in the night. But as the night would go on and their body temperatures would drop and they would really start freezing, there's no more breath. And so we would sit there and say, all right, well, do we need to pull layers off of them? But the problem wasn't making them colder. It was trying to make you guys warmer so that your breath would show up. Now, again, getting back to the people who are like, I would escape by pole vaulting to the next thing and wolves don't attack people, and by, these genius fucking people out there. One of the things they would say is, you could tell that they're not even really up there and they're not cold because you can't see their breath, which is exactly the opposite. When you can't see their breath, that's when they're
reaching
really,
hypothermia.
yeah, they're about to die. That's why you can't see their breath.
That's right, folks. Adam Green says that the only reason you can't see their breath for most of the film is because it was even colder than the scenes where you could see their breath. Now, right away, this explanation struck me as a little odd, particularly because there's nothing to back up this scientific claim on the entire internet, and that the only other mentions of such a phenomenon even existing are from people who are basically just quoting the director. So naturally, I decided to investigate. Turns out a normal human body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, and mild hypothermia is at 35 degrees Celsius. So in the commentary track where they literally say it's because they were reaching hypothermia, is that supposed to imply that a mere 2-degree difference in body temperature would result in breath not being visible? Severe hypothermia is at 28 degrees Celsius. So even if we're supposed to believe that you were giving your actors moderate to severe hypothermia every day of shooting, that still would not be enough of a drop in core temperature for breath not to be visible.
When your body is that cold, you actually don't see your own breath after a while. And people seem to think the colder it is, the more breath is going to come out. But once you're freezing to death and your body temperature is dropping, there's no more heat coming out of you anymore. And the first night that we actually shot with them up there, for the first hour of shooting, it's like dragons, just, steam coming out of them. And then all of a sudden there's no more breath. And all of us started thinking, like, do we need to take more layers off of them, make them colder? But that actually wasn't it. We needed to try to heat them up more, but we couldn't. So there are instances in the movie where their breath goes away. Those are actually the nights when it's coldest.
But wait a minute, if those were the nights where it was coldest, then why is it that in the commentary track you say that this night is the coldest?
This was the coldest day of the shoot.
This was the last day, too.
Last
Yeah,
day
it
of
was the last
shooting.
shot that we did.
Yeah.
We mentioned on the other track too, this was the last night of shooting and
Yeah,
the
it was.
coldest night. It was 4 degrees.
This scene undeniably has the most visible breath out of the entire film, so it makes sense that it would be the coldest. But then you also say say that the scenes where you can't see their breath was actually colder than the coldest day?
There are instances in the movie where their breath goes away. Those are actually the nights when it's coldest.
Is that not a massive contradiction? Now, I'm obviously no scientist, so I asked around to see if I could get someone else to comment on this. My roommate recommended I reach out to YouTuber King Crocoduck, who is a graduate student with a bachelor's in physics from UC Santa Barbara. King Crocoduck responded by saying that if your body becomes cold enough for the air you're exhaling to be invisible, you're basically dead. Despite already confirming my suspicions, I decided to go one step further. I did some digging and wound up getting in contact with Dr. Gordon Giesbrecht, a professor at the University of Manitoba that specializes on the effects of cold weather on the human body.
So you basically trash people's movies, is that it?
Yeah, his explanation, both on the DVD commentary and on Twitter, he's been tweeting about it, he says, the reason why you can't see their breath for most of the movie is because it was so cold that the actor's body temperature dropped after a few hours of shooting, and you can't see their breath because their bodies were so cold.
No, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, first of all, it's very unlikely that on a regular basis their actors were actually getting hypothermic.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they did, they would be non-functional if their temperature dropped more than a couple of degrees. That would be making the suggestion that if you're breathing 37-degree air out of your mouth, you would see condensation, but if the air was 35 degrees, you wouldn't see condensation, which is just not the case, especially if you're making the argument that the people dropped their temperature a couple of degrees because it was so cold outside. It works against the argument. If you see condensation in one part of the day and no condensation later on in the day, it is not because the body has cooled, it's because the air is warmed up.
If you're interested in learning more about Dr. Gordon Giesbrecht's work, feel free to visit ownthecold.ca and coldwaterbootcamp.com.
To me, it's really a minor. I mean, you guys should just say, well, we weren't actually putting people in a situation for 3 days where they were freezing, so
yeah,
and we can't control the weather.
Yeah, I know. It's not that difficult.
Like, why argue about it? I wouldn't argue about that.
Apparently, this day of filming was actually a little cold. Although apparently still not cold enough to not be grabbing that fucking safety rail. Your hand has been completely gloveless since before this guy jumped, and apparently you're too stupid to keep it in your coat pocket or even tuck it into your sleeve. Don't fucking tell me, a Canadian, that you'd be able to grab onto this metal bar, let alone even make a fist. Do you know how painful and difficult it would be to bend your fingers after they've been in the cold that long? About 10 years ago, when I was living in Edmonton, Alberta, me and a friend accidentally got locked outside of our high school. And even though I was only outside for 20 minutes, my hands turned red and it became extremely difficult and painful to bend my fingers. If you're gonna have this character be too stupid to even try to keep her hand warm, then don't have her acting as though her hand is totally fine. The whole point of the movie is to show the dangers of the elements, and you're not really showing the dangers of the elements. Just tuck your arm into your fucking jacket, you idiot. So now some more time passes, and oh hey look, it snowed just enough so that they didn't have to put any effort into showing the body. Oh great, more filler dialogue.
You don't go to someone's house and have them say, here, meet my dog, Steve.
Why not? Hey, Steve's a good name for a dog.
Here, meet my cat, Chris.
Now it's tricky with a film like this. I mean, any genre film is tricky, but in terms of with critics, we've been really lucky. I'd say like 95% of our reviews have been glowing. But there's some people who come to see this and they hate the scenes where the actors are talking. They can't stand it, but hurry up, come on. Oh, her face is peeling off, awesome. And then there's other people who appreciate the fact that there's actually acting going on as well, and there's a story, and that you can't please everybody with it.
Have you ever stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, the reason why people don't like the talking scenes isn't because people don't like character development, and that maybe people just don't want to have to suffer through piss-poor dialogue being brought to life by embarrassing performances?
It's a high concept film in the sense that like we're sort of stranded, and it's, the tension and the fears there. If you don't care about these characters, and if you don't care about them not only from the beginning, but as you see the good and bad that happens to them, I mean, people sort of,
Have you ever thought that it might just be really fucking bad? Like, get a load of this fucking scene. Wah, I just remembered I have a dog.
She's just a puppy. She's not gonna understand that I died.
Holy fuck, her acting. Did she get paid in icing sugar? Because it looks like she got some all over her face. The music is supposed to be making things more sad, but instead it's making things more hilarious.
She's probably cocking her little head to the side. wondering when I'm gonna come in. But I won't. I won't come in. And she's gonna starve to death.
So now it's the next day, and yup, they're still stuck there. Apparently it's not all that cold if you haven't tucked your faces into your jackets. Holy shit, does this girl love icing sugar. Okay, seriously, how do you even let that happen? Did she ingest a near lethal amount of narcotics before she fell asleep? Would she sleep through someone lighting her hand on fire? How is this not a comedy? What a cheap excuse to have a squeamish gore scene. Oh hey, it looks like the production team got her some cherry icing too. I like how this guy doesn't even notice or give a shit. Oh geez, maybe I should tuck my hand inside my sleeve. Is that seriously all the effort you're going to put into doing that? That doesn't help at all. That's fine, good as new. Move your elbow into the main part of your jacket. If your jacket is too tight to be able to do that, then you should theoretically not even be able to breathe right now.
Frostbite is getting worse.
Yeah, your frostbite's getting really bad. Maybe you should have put literally any effort into covering up your fucking face.
Another question that always came up after Sundance and during the movie's theatrical release is some people would be like, if they were that cold, why don't they bundle up more? And it's, I suppose that's easy to say when you're sitting there at home, but the truth of the matter is there wasn't really much more you guys could have done.
You know what? I'm not really feeling this hand anyway. Maybe if I can get rid of this one, they'll give me a designer one later. So now even more time passes because what else are they gonna do? She now decides that she has been holding in her piss for way too long.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door.
Have a sad pee, baby. Guys, this is a really sad scene. Can't you tell? The music says this is sad. This is totally not a funny scene at all. Stop fucking touching it! Time to fill up more screen time with boring-ass character development. How come you never had a girlfriend? I mean, you seem like a nice guy and everything. No, I had a serious relationship once.
You know what happened? She liked another guy. Sometimes I feel like I was just insecure.
Interesting, in this whole scene here, we had to cut one line, and the line was, you want to hear a funny story? And the reason why we had to cut the line is because essentially Lynch tells two stories here. There's the girlfriend, and then it's how he met Dan. What we found is when we would play the movie for people early on, when you would say, hey, want to hear a funny story? People would literally say no. Like they were sick of the stories. But you take out that line and just have you say, true story, and go into it, and people loved it.
Time to remind the audience there was a casualty in this movie.
I just sat here and I let him die.
No, you didn't. We didn't let him die, okay? There was nothing we could have done.
You know what you could have done? You could have told him to hop on the snowboard and slide down the fucking mountain. You know, maybe after that first wolf retreated, you could have been like, hey, why don't you use your perfectly functional arms and get the fuck out of there? There's nothing we could have done. This movie's thought of everything. Let's share some heartwarming and sentimental stories about our deceased friend.
I've never seen this kid in my life. But for some reason, he pointed at me.
Turns out those stories were so inspirational that they decide to try and escape again. What the fuck? Did they just happen to be coincidentally sitting on the only chairlift that was about to break also? Man, fucking chairlifts, they're not designed to withstand people sitting on them.
I'm looking at the chairlifts and I'm thinking, why would anybody go skiing? Like, I can't believe I used to do that. That just looks dangerous. I mean, you're up there on that rickety chair. How do those things even stay on?
How bullshitty can you possibly get?
Everything in Frozen is real. The story is real, the people are real, how we shot it is real, what everybody went through is real.
Oh no, the doggos are back. Turns out wolves, they actually behave identically to vultures. Oh no, what? So he makes it to another chair and oh no, his hands are really messed up, I guess. So now he decides he'll probably need a weapon once he climbs down.
I want you to throw my ski pole as far down the hill as you can.
Worst chairlift ever made of all time. Congratulations, you made it. How do you just nonchalantly let go with both hands like that? Maybe one at a time would have been more appropriate. Anyway, he makes it down and he's somehow able to pick up that ski pole within half a second. If it was that close to the ladder, then why were you giving her shit for it? I'm sorry for throwing it apparently exactly where you wanted me to throw it. No, make it stop. There's just too much carnage. I can't handle all the doggo kisses. Please have mercy. This is just too much to handle. Oh no, they're completely ripping my jacket to shreds. Why don't they understand I have no interest in tug of war? So eventually he manages to fight them off, I guess.
Try and stay still.
Try and stay still, and also get your hand off the fucking railing! So now he does exactly what the other guy should have done and uses the snowboard to slide down the mountain. Now it's totally fair that he doesn't strap his feet in because he is wearing ski boots, but that doesn't explain why he didn't get his fucking skis! Oh, I guess the skis got buried by the snow, and he's just really, really lucky that the snowboard fell in the most convenient way possible. So now she just sits here waiting. What to wear? What to wear? And to make things worse, according to the soundtrack, Nathan Drake died somewhere. So now it's the next day and she realizes that her friend probably didn't make it. She now decides that it's time to jump. How are you still able to grab shit with that fucking hand? I really do not think that's how this shit works. How convenient. Oh, hey, check it out. Despite having a leg injury, she is perfectly capable of pulling herself forward. Although it makes less sense with her than it would with this guy, and I'm sure by this point that I don't even have to explain to you why. Whee! Whee! Woohoo! Damn, son, I've never called anything poignant before, but I feel like this is the right time. I like how you didn't notice the wolf there until right now. Was the wolf not within your field of vision this entire time? Let's add growling sound effects to a doggo that is clearly not growling.
What I liked about this scene is wolves are not man killers or man eaters. They're not just going to attack somebody for no reason. Again, getting back to the people who are like, I would escape by pole vaulting to the next thing, and wolves don't attack people, and by, you know, these genius fucking people out there.
I like how they couldn't even make part of the carcass edible for the sake of the shot. You couldn't even have given the dogs some meat to chew on. No, let's only film them sniffing the ground. That'll look totally fine. How do you even do that? You should try hitting that jump like you promised. So she makes it all the way down to the road. Whatever happened to this whole area? Did you climb over a fence? You know what? After all of this, I think the time for me to give up would be right about now. So now they pull the whole fake she's gonna get run over scare.
Remember when I said this car was death-proof? Well, that wasn't a lie. This car is 100% death-proof.
Hold tight, count of three, gotta stay close by me.
So this guy saves her, and apparently the hospital's only 10 minutes away. Yay. Man, we learned so much, especially when all of my basic assumptions about how the world works were proven wrong. As the film ends, we hear some sad music as some memorable words from her deceased boyfriend echo through her head.
You're gonna be okay, baby.
Ugh.
What I love is
you know, the critics and Monday morning quarterbacks and stuff who like to sit and pick apart a movie, like, do you really think you can pick it apart more than the people who made it?
Well, there you have it. One of the most annoying and infuriating movies ever made of all time. 2/3 of the characters in this movie died by wolves. And as for the realism, sure, there were definitely some cold days, but just because other days weren't all that cold doesn't mean you have to make up fake science bullshit to try and sell your movie. If you did not do that, then I would not have felt such a strong need to investigate it. I'm willing to accept the possibility that there might be some weird reason why breath wouldn't show up on legitimately cold days, but if that turns out to be the case, it is definitely not because of the excuse you provided. There was definitely a decent amount of cold weather promoted in your behind-the-scenes footage, but there was also the part where you guys literally had to bring in snow from other areas because your set was melting. How come you didn't talk about any of that at Sundance? Now, despite my obvious criticisms for the film, I do have a bit of respect for it. The decision to film this practically on a chairlift is pretty cool. There's also real snow, which is refreshing after seeing so much American fake snow bullshit. To Adam Green's credit, it's clear that he loves what he does, and he does seem like an enjoyable person to be around on set. This movie also works decently as a comedy, even though it did not intend to be as such. Mostly, this movie is really fucking stupid, and that's okay. It's okay to make a really dumb movie as long as you enjoy what you've made. And just because you receive criticism does not mean you should start inventing every excuse possible in order to convince yourself it's illegitimate. Anyway, I'm about done talking about this movie. I hope you enjoyed this review. Childhood Trauma Part 3 is what I'm working on next, so stay tuned. There, I did it. I gave my thoughts on Frozen. Happy 500,000. Thank you. Well, that took a hell of a lot longer than I wanted it to, but it's out. I hope you enjoyed it. Basically, when I was about to hit 500,000 subs, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I reviewed Frozen? Because my 100,000 subscriber special was also Frozen, so I thought it would be funny to do Frozen again, and I thought that I could just make some, you know, preaching to the choir, half-assed, like, 10-minute video about it. And then as I started making it, I'm like, oh, uh-oh. Turns out I have a lot to say about this shit. So I apologize to those who were waiting for Childhood Trauma Part 3, as this was supposed to be a short break from the series, not a 2-month break, but this shit takes time. Also, apparently a bunch of my videos were accidentally enabled to have mid-roll video ads playing in the middle of the video. Turns out somebody from my network accidentally did a batch change of my uploads. Basically, all it takes is just to click a button. So that wound up affecting a bunch of my uploads. I do not know how many uploads. I went through the first 3 pages of my most viewed videos and manually disabled mid-roll ads for all those videos. There's no way to batch disable mid-roll ads. You have to do every single one of them manually. So I don't know how many I missed. If you do see a video with mid-roll ads in it, please make a post on my subreddit. Then I'll, if I see it, if people upvote it and it's true and I see it, then I can get rid of it and get rid of them one at a time, because I personally feel as though an ad break in the middle of a video, especially a video like mine, severely disrupts the flow and the tone of the video. And, you know, if you guys really want to support me, I do have a Patreon. All these lovely people right here are supporters of my Patreon. Mwah, mwah. I love you. I love you guys. Thank you so much. This is the reason why I can do it full time. This is the reason why I can make videos that are 30 plus minutes without ad breaks in between them, you know, and spend all month working on them instead of making like 6 5-minute videos every month or something, or even more, or like a video every day that I don't put effort into. This is why I can do it. So thank you guys very much. By the way, Patreon has been giving out plaques very similar to this YouTube 100,000 subscriber plaque, and they've been giving those away to creators who have 1,000 patrons or more. And it seems as though every single month I have a bit over 1,000 by the end of the month. But then as soon as day one of the next month happens, it goes to like 950. And then at the end of that month, it's all the way back up to over 1,000, and then it's like back down to 950. The reason why this is because Patreon adjusts the numbers shown on your main page based on whose credit cards got processed and who didn't. So it turns out that there's a small percentage of people whose credit cards didn't get processed every single month. But I really want that fucking plaque. So if anybody wants to donate like 10 cents, 50 cents, if we can get that Patreon number to like enough over 1,000 that we can assume that it'll stay 1,000 just for 1 month, like stay that way so I can get the plaque, and then if you guys want, then, I mean, like, you don't have to keep donating. I'm pretty sure I think you might be able to do 50 cents. $1 might be minimum, but I'm pretty sure you can do, like, 50 cents or something. I don't know. But I would really like that plaque, so ideally we would get it up to, like, 1,100, and I don't even care if the money goes up at all. I just really want that plaque. So don't feel like you have to donate much. These videos are 100% free. If you want to use ad blocker, that's totally fine. I believe you have every right to do that. And yeah, there's nothing to try and force anyone to donate. But I really want that plaque, is all I'm saying. I really want that as my own personal trophy, so that my ego can inflate to an even larger size than it currently is. Oh, and by the way, after Childhood Trauma Part 3, then my next priority will be Synecdoche, New York Part 5. I know it has been a long time. There's kind of a point to it that I'll explain, and I mean, the fact that me saying it right there should be enough of an explanation, but I will explain it, the entire reason why it's taken this long. And there's many reasons to it, but I will explain that when we get to the actual video. There are a lot of projects that I have on the horizon. I just wish I had more time. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I love you guys. Shout out to my gaming channel. Shout out to my t-shirts. Just some things that I want to plug. Because this is, I mean, like, if I'm not going to do mid-roll ads, I might as well advertise my own shit, right? At least it's coming from me, you know? Anyway, thanks. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.